Morning. Let me check, make sure we're not squeaky. And we will. Let's check that first. Dashboard, 157 subscribers. So thank you for that. And let's see if we get how live our live is. Come on. Let's see if we get. Okay, we're good. All right. Let's get cracking. Good morning. Welcome to Coffee and Resales. My name is Ryan. I get stuff from yard sales, garage sales, front yards, backyards, side yards, and thrift stores. Try to make a few extra bucks online. It's Monday. Monday hat. Monday finds. Monday sales. Anyway, 9 sales to talk about this morning. Nothing extraordinary, but that's still fine because I'm making money. And I got one, I think, good home run find this weekend. On top of a handful of stuff I think I may have packed in the last few days. So, the end of last week that may not have gotten to. And if I remember, I'll get to them. So, we're going to go over that. So, let's get on it. All right. First up, selling more of these bad boys. These are like credit card folding pocket knives that unfold out. I sell batches of 10 for $9. This is about the 10th or 12th batch I've sold. I bought like 2 boxes of these for like $5. So every time a sale happens, I'm probably putting $2 in my pocket, I guess. So, and I've been in the money for a while on these, so that's a good easy flip there. Next up is, we're going to go down the line a little bit here. This book, An Intuitive Approach to Elementary Geometry, $8. Older textbook. I bet I got this for $0.25. It's one of those, and I looked it up, and I think I saw it was probably going for more, a sale that had happened maybe in the $15 range at one point. So, not much there, but it's been sitting around a while. But I'm glad to get it out, and I'll explain why this, if I think about it, I'll explain why even some low sales are sometimes worth it. Morning, Juanita. Good to see you. All right, next up. Thought these were going to go for a little bit more. The Legend of Eli Monpress books. Trade paperbacks. Series of 3. This one for $12. So, after shipping, I may actually not make much, may not make anything on those. I thought that was probably at one point $20, $25 set. Again, it's what happens sometimes. I probably had a little too long. I don't know that I've had it a year, but it's been 6 months or more since I've had that set. So, glad to see it out. That took up a bunch of room. Okay, next to those, G.I. Joes. Always nice to sell G.I. Joes. This is Freefall. And if you don't recognize them, that's fine. This is from some of the early 90s, one of the early 90s G.I. Joes. This is maybe a 91 action figure. If you grew up on the TV show, this was post-movie. And when the cartoon got bad. And the figures were still cool. And this isn't one of the crazy neon guys. But that's his name. That's Freefall. $11 for him. There is hardly a G.I. Joe that is, if he has tight joints and decent paint and no accessories, that is worth less probably than $8. They sell pretty decently regularly. There's a few that might not be because they're weird, and not either everybody's got one or nobody wants it. But even then, there's some of them. There's a hard floor on the pricing on these things. So if you find original GI Joes, see the posing, for $1 or less, get them because you'll make money on it. All right, next we'll do this and then those. Rupert, no idea what this is. This is British, by the way. It's always nice to find British stuff that makes its way over here. This was $11. And I would say 90% of the listings for this Rupert Kids Daily Express Annual, whatever, were in England. So this was over here. And sometimes you can sell stuff over that folks aren't willing to pay the shipping for. They're worth $10-15 and it's not worth getting them from England. So $10 on that. Picked it up for $1. So there you go. These always disappoint me, and I can't not get them sometimes. These old matte 60s, 70s. This is Nancy Drew. These are a little surprised. These are Boys Life books and Bobbsey Twins. See you, Troy. And this whole batch went for $12. It's annoying. These go decently actually in booths where you can get $2 or $3 for them if you can get them cheap enough. But outside of that, I have to pass up a bunch of them. Now, later numbered ones, which I have found before, tend to do a little bit better, but early numbers in these types of series tend to not do real well. More in Troy, yes. That free fall was good. It was about as good shape as you're going to find. Plus, he had his helmet, so it was a neat grab. All right. Next up, homeschool stuff. This is the program we use, and these were just books that we didn't need. So this is Memoria Press literature guides. These are teacher guides to help on various books. Folktales, Mr. Popper's Penguins, Prairie School, Little House in the Big Woods, Courage of Sarah Noble, and Adventures of Tom Sawyer. These are guides to kind of help you teach the book to your kid. They're really good. Memoria Press is a really good program. Sold this bundle for $33. Yep. So this was a neat find. And I think these even may be like a slightly older edition. Not very old, because we just got these last year, a couple of years ago, so they're not that old. But it is getting to where you have to be careful if you know homeschool stuff, that editions are starting to matter. 5 years ago, it didn't necessarily. Now it really can, and it's hard to sell some of the older stuff sometimes. So something to think about. All right. Finally, last sale. Seas of Odari. This is a role-playing game book that was a Kickstarter, and so some of these do okay, some of them don't. That unless they get super popular. I don't think this one did. I paid up for a little bit. I paid $7 for this. Now looked through. There wasn't a whole lot of them. I don't think there was any for sale. But there is another Kickstarter for the next element of this game. I got $30 for this, so I made money, and I'm not going to complain about it. What was really annoying was there was a handful of other RPG books on the shelves, and they were all $7, and none of the there was even a D&D book, and it actually wasn't worth grabbing. It was I could have probably resold it maybe for $15, and it wasn't worth getting unless you were going to keep it. If I go back this week, I may grab it and snag it and hang on to it. But other than that, not really worth doing. So, I'll sip the coffee. Now, on to some finds. Get to the good stuff in a minute. What else did we get? Oh, sold one other thing. Sold some more Pokemon cards. I finally listed them. They weren't worth as much as I thought they were going to be. I thought I had some $20, $30 cards and I didn't, either because of condition or it wasn't the right card. But I sold a batch of these are Holo Energy cards, and I sold this batch for how much? $10 for 10 cards, which is fine because you can ship them a lot. The great thing about cards, Magic cards, Pokemon cards, that sort of thing, shipping is less. If you know how to kind of get it done, shipping is less than $1. Now you lose the tracking, but you can get it out and get it shipped pretty cheap, and a lot of guys do. So, good little sale there. I think that puts me in the black for. I sold another batch last week. I don't think I mentioned it. I showed it, but I sold another batch last week. Sold this batch. So I think I'm paid for all the cards that I snagged. There wasn't a whole lot worth, so they'll be out at the flea market, and I'll take a little bit of money for all of them. There's still collectors out there, or people wanting to put stuff in their sets. I got a big batch of Magic cards there that I've gone through and sold all the expensive ones out of, and I'll bring them out there and sell them for cheap and get the money for them sometimes. So that's the goal there. Okay, finally, finds. I have one find there I need to talk about. Okay, all right. Hat. This is from my boy Shane over at Soda City. I sell hats sometimes too, and John over at Small Time Bookseller, who does hats as well. Hats are great. This is pigeon. This is a what is it? Staple, world renowned pigeon brand. They put pigeons on their hats. So if you see a pigeon on a hat, get it. These are $10 to $20 hats, sometimes more. So it's worth snagging. Hats are great. They ship cheap. You can. I know. Sometimes I do it. Sometimes I don't, depending on how much I sell it for and what I've got around. You can actually pad mailer these if you kind of pack it up right and support it properly, and get them out. And you can sell hats for $10 to $15 and make money if you can get a big. The great is to get a big batch of them. So sometimes if you can get a lot of them at once for less than $1 a piece, usually there's a couple in there that are worth that are worth flipping. And I have a lot of success with flea market ones with NASCAR and sports hats too, if I can get them cheap enough. So it's really pretty cool. All right, next up, this bad boy. This is cool. This is an Ezra Bridger lightsaber. Sound and Light. There's a Nerf one that's really fun. This is a Sound and Light lightsaber that works. Tested and works. $20-$30, I think. Maybe 15, but I got it pretty inexpensively. It's in really good shape. So some of the toy lightsabers, some, not all, are really are worth looking up, particularly the older ones. So, or some of the more unique looking ones, like this one. Your regular Obi-Wan, Anakin, Darth Vader ones aren't worth as much, but the ones you pay up a little bit more, the ones you really also you want to look for are the custom ones that you can make out of Disney, and the Build-A-Saber thing or whatever that is. Those are really cool, and those are worth a little bit more. It's also neat when you can find one of the collector ones that's metal, and flip one of the. I flipped a broken one of those one time too. Probably somebody who was a cosplayer, because it was when they could actually. Way I wrote it was, you can modify this one because there's some broken bits on it, so you can take it and actually make it your own a little bit without having to worry to ruin the value of it. But on this one, pretty cool. So keep an eye out for those. Not all of them are worthwhile. I tend to grab them because I lightsaber fight with my kids sometimes. And those are worth great. Okay, next up. On the same, Angels and Aliens, UFOs, and the Mythic Imagination. Anything about this or this is sometimes worth looking up. You got both of them together. This is probably about a $15 to $20 book. But I looked it up. I was like, that title needs to be examined. And it was. And this is first edition hardcover. So, keep an eye on that. All right. Next up. This is a real good find late last week that I didn't talk about. Easton Press, Count of Monte Cristo. It's a $100 book, 50 to 100. I think closer to the $100 mark. It's got a little bit of rubbing on the gilding on the edge, but otherwise this thing's great shape. Easton Press books are great. They're high quality, beautiful on a shelf, and I found one that wasn't worth grabbing for less than $10. So this one was $2. So this is going to be real good profit when it sells. I don't know how long it's going to sit. I'm really real interested to see how long it's going to sit out there. But they're really neat, and I've actually kept some of these when I found them. I've got a Lord of the Rings set that I kept because it's great, and I want a good quality Lord of the Rings set that will last the rest of my life. And that's what Easton Press makes, is high quality books that last a long time, and they're very readable. Like this thing just pops open, and illustrations and just easy reading books. The font on it they're big, and I just can't say enough about them. And they're worth grabbing, and they're worth keeping if you want them, and you have a good collection that's worth money. So Easton Press books, grab them when you see them. Okay. 2 bags that I didn't talk about. Yeah, I know I keep rolling through stuff, but I keep finding stuff too. This is a camera bag by, what's the name of the company? Crumpler. This is the $6 Million Home. I don't know what they get that from, but it's a really good condition. Sort of I think I got this for $50 up. For only camera bags. Camera bags are worth something. You just gotta kind of look them up when you see them. But if you see a camera bag with a lot of padding, look it up, because camera people take their stuff seriously, and they want good bags, and sometimes worth grabbing. And a bag for Nintendo Switch. This is these were both at Last Chance Goodwill, so they were like $1 a piece. So this is actually not worth as much as I think I thought it was going to be. But I tend to grab a lot of stuff that's Nintendo branded, and or that has Nintendo licensing. So this is a Switch case, $15, $20, or give or take, I think is what it's going to go for. So worth grabbing. Okay, finally, for the moment you've all been waiting for, and me, manga, particularly Japanese manga. I also got the was at a yard sale the other day, and I picked up a big batch of manga for $60. And I'm not crazy about paying that much for it. And there was probably about 30 books. So $2 a book isn't bad if you can flip it. This whole set is the Shield Hero manga, and it looks like, and I got what looks like 2 or 3 sets here. I got like a big, almost a full run of the sort of the English set, 20-something books, and like 2 or 3 of the Japanese manga sets. And these are, and there's some of these it looks like $50, $60 a set. This may go for over 100 if I've got enough of them. So I'm probably gonna double that $60. Maybe do a little bit better than that. Probably when I come out on the tail end of it, it'll be a net doubling of my money. I'll pull between $120, $160 dollars out of it. So which means I'll make $60 to $80 when all is said and done after eBay takes their cut. So manga. Full sets of manga are really these are really good shape too. They took care of these. Manga collectors really like to have stuff that's really clean and like corners and not read a bunch and clean spines and that sort of thing. So, full sets of manga it's really hard to sell individual copies of manga unless they're out of print and in high demand. If something's still in print or there's a lot of it, the best way to sell it is to have it in a series, is to have multiples 1 through 5, 5 through 10, something like that are sequential with no gaps. That tends to be the best way to sell them. It's hard to sell random manga. I've got a couple lots out there that they're not selling. I still kind of pick them up because when I get them for 50 cents, it's hard to refuse them. I need to probably either lot more up or I'll bring them out to the flea market and flip them for a few bucks that way. And I can at least resell it that way and get my money back out of them, if not a little bit more, at the flea markets. So that's that. One tip I wanted to cover this on selling stuff for cheap. Maybe not necessarily at a loss, but at least to get your money back, or if something's been sitting around and like, man, I'm just going to take whatever as long as I can get more than shipping. There's a value in that, particularly for the small eBay seller, as it relates to your feedback and as it relates to getting a top rated status if you shoot for that. It is because getting stuff out the door quickly and having that just adds to your numbers and adds to those percentages, and it really helps when you do make a mistake and it's a ding against you, because when you sell as little as I do, I do 2 or 3 sales a day at most, sort of on average, unless I get a big score. Like this weekend, 9 sales. That's starting Friday. That's 3 sales a day. So you need the numbers to help with your ratings and that sort of thing. So when you make a mistake, it's kind of covered by all your everything you did get right. So something to think about whenever you have stuff that's just sitting, but you think it still might sell and you want to drop the price on it. Sometimes it's worth putting something down to, say you got a paperback and the least you can really sell a paperback for is $6, and you took $7 or $8 on it, just to get it out the door. It will help you in the long run. It is sometimes worth that effort. That's how I'm getting my top rated back this month. Am I going to lose it next month? Hope not. But that's how I'm getting it back. Finally getting it back. I've been above average or above standard for a year, and it seems about once a year I get top standard back and then lose it a couple months later because I screw something up, or can't find something, or something happens. And sometimes it's in my control, and sometimes it's not. So, like, I lost a book last month. I have no idea what happened to it. But it happens. It wasn't in the box I thought it was supposed to be in. It wasn't in the box I intended to put it in. So that's what happens sometimes. So, but it's worth the fight, worth the grind, and particularly when it helps out when you got these big scores sitting there, and you've got the track record of the small stuff, because the small stuff helps on the big stuff. So, yep, very good. Thank you, Troy. So we're going to shut it down. Shut down the recording, and like, comment, subscribe, and I hope you have a good week. All right. Thanks for showing up, Troy. Thank you, Juanita, though I think she's gone now. So wound up with some good stuff today, and looking forward to getting it out the door. So we will see how it goes. All right.